Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel. Today I just want to show you guys how I do my eyeshadow as a beginner. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Alright, so starting off, I'm going to be taking the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer. And I'm going to be using that as a primer for my eyelids. I do not have a eyelid primer. I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But I'm just going to be rubbing that all over my lid until I cannot rub anymore. Okay, so for today's look, I'm going to be using the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly, and I'm going to be taking that burnt shade and just rubbing that all over the crease of my eyelid and just a little bit above it. I think it's called a transition shade, so I think that's the light shade. I think it's called a transition shade. Do not judge me if I get these words wrong. This is my first time successfully applying eyeshadow, so we're just going to make it work with these words that I'm just throwing out. So yeah, it's a transition shade today. Then we're going to be taking that red ochre or red ochre shade. I'm just going to be using that as a color shade so that way I can darken up my eyelid, and I'm just going to drag that like to the midway point of my eyelid, if that makes sense. So not all the way, but a little bit, you know. We're going to be taking that Venetian red shade and just focusing that on the outer V of our eyelid, and I will spend some time blending it out because I don't want any harsh lines and I want to just prepare it for the next color. Next up is the shade Love Letter. I'm also going to focus that on my outer V. I'm not going to drag that shade out as much as I did the previous shade, mainly because I want to darken my outer V. So I'm just going to blend that in and make sure there are no harsh lines as well. And like the previous shade, this one is very pigmented, so you definitely want to apply this gradually. If you apply too much at once, it will become very hard to blend out, so I suggest applying it little by little so that way you can achieve the look that you want and the color desired. Next, I'm going to be taking the Cypress Umber shade in the palette, which is the darkest color, and just applying that on the outer V of my eyelid. You definitely want to gradually apply the shade because, like I said, it is the darkest, so applying too much at once will make it too hard to blend and you may come out with patchy areas. Then I'm going to take a flat brush from my BH Cosmetics brush set, and I'm just going to spray that with the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Boosting Mist. Just so that way when I apply my eyeshadow, it'll be more intensified as opposed to applying it with a dry brush. The last shade I will be using is called Primavera, and I'm going to take that same wet brush and just apply the shade all over my eyelid and kind of like pat it over to the middle, but not all the way to the end, just like to the middle. With this shade, I only focused on my eyelid. I didn't go anywhere above the crease or anything like that. I just focused on the inner eyelid and kind of patted it to the midway point, and I'm just going to build that eyeshadow shade until I get the level of intensity that I want. Next, I'm going to be taking the darkest shade in the palette, which was the Cypress Umber, and just patting that over the sparkly shade just so that way there can be a nice transition. As usual, anytime I wear makeup, I have to apply eyeliner. So I'm going to be taking the NYX Matte Liquid Liner and just applying a nice cat eye winged look. The foundation that I'm going to be using is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Foundation, and it's in the shade Deep Sand. And y'all, this foundation lasts longer than 12 hours. Sometimes I forget to take it off at night and it's still in place in the morning when I wake up. I absolutely love this foundation, and I haven't found anything that compares or competes with it. So this is my go-to, my holy grail for right now, and that's all I got to say about this. It's life. Next, I'm going to be contouring with Tarte's Pro Glow To Go palette, and I know the shade looks a little light or washed out, but it's not actually like that in person. It is brown, and it's the perfect contour shade for me. And I'm just going to set that contour with the Makeup by Revolution Vivid Baked Bronzer. And the brush that I'm using is by e.l.f. and it is a bronzer brush. Y'all, let me tell you that this was my first time successfully applying eyelashes, so it worked out perfectly for this video. But I applied one the day before and it was only on one eye. And I was like, I might be working out a little something, but you know what I'm saying. I was happy, you know? Alright, so next I'm going to be taking the Tarte Rainforest FSC Marine Boosting Mist and just spraying that all over my face as a setting spray. Then I'm going to be going in with the Sephora Oil Infusion Lip Gloss, which is a nice pinkish plumish color. Just applying that all over my lips. And y'all, I felt like my lip gloss was going to be popping, but it did add a hint of color, so it wasn't too drastic, but I still liked it, you know? I liked it. And here's the finished look. I hope you guys like my eyeshadow for beginners tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.